Welcome into Philadelphia 76ers Now. Chase Sr. here with you. Appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. We're talking James Harden latest and Terquavion Smith balling out for the Sixers in the Summer League. The signals are that James Harden is going to return to Philadelphia. That coming from Dave McMenamin of ESPN while making an appearance on the Dan Patrick Show. But then John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, saying just moments ago, right before I put on this headset, that he has heard that James Harden's trade request does still stand. It's going to be the long game, I think, and we know Daryl Morey obviously likes to maximize the value he gets back for a superstar. All of that to come, but first, make sure you subscribe to the show for year-round Sixers coverage right here on the channel, and we're in a sub-battle with a couple of rival channels and teams here at Chat Sports. New York Knicks now north of 26,000 subscribers. Boston Celtics today closing in on 20,000 subscribers. Those channels older than 76ers now, but we can still make some headway. And if you're looking for informative, insightful, entertaining Sixers content, hit that sub button. Hoping to go live tomorrow on Wednesday right here on the program. So let's get you caught up on the James Harden latest here. Dave McMenamin saying signals are that he'll return to the Sixers. Joel Embiid said a couple of days ago, Sunday night, that he wants Harden back. Then during his introductory press conference yesterday, Patrick Beverley, a good friend of James Harden, their mother's best friends as well, asked for James Harden to come back and stay with the Sixers as well. Here's that report and what McMenamin had to say with Dan Patrick here. I was speaking to a bunch of folks about this on Sunday evening. The signals right now is that he will come back with Philadelphia. As of right now, with no momentum appearing on a deal with the Los Angeles Clippers, and Philadelphia still needing what Harden does without finding a replacement for him, it looks like there's a pathway for him to come back to the Sixers next year. And you could see why this could happen, right? The James Harden and Daryl Morey relationship goes back many years. And if they can reconcile their differences right now, then it is feasible. It is realistic that Harden could return to Philadelphia, even though just a couple of weeks ago he had demanded a trade. That relationship allows them to reconcile and repair that current rift. Because going all the way back to October of 2012, they have a very tight-knit relationship. That's when Daryl Morey, when he was running basketball operations with the Houston Rockets, traded for James Harden. He ends up being one of the marquee offensive players of this generation, wins an MVP, and they win a lot of games. July 2017, Harden at the time signs the richest contract in the history of basketball. A few years later, 5 to be exact, February of 2022, Daryl Morey trades away Ben Simmons for the beard, and then in June of 2023, Harden asks for a trade. The issue in losing Harden all along, whether it was an NBA free agency or now via a trade, is that the free agent crop sucked to replace Harden. There really weren't any quality players to replace his production with. If the free agency class had a lot more star power, then maybe the Sixers would have moved on. But now they're in this situation in which they're kind of being held hostage by Harden. They know that if he were to go somewhere else in free agency, they wouldn't have been able to replace that production. And now if they trade him, they're going to struggle to get back a quality player back in an actual trade. Now, the positive spin of the Sixers running it back in 2023, 2024 is that you upgraded at coach with Nick Nurse over Doc Rivers and James Harden and Tobias Harris on expiring contracts. So let me say that again. A positive if the Sixers run it back this upcoming season. You upgrade at coach with Nick Nurse over Doc Rivers, who's much more of a tactician at that coaching spot, who can actually make adjustments on the fly, and you would be getting James Harden and Tobias Harris back on expiring contracts. Does that mean that they'll be motivated to play their best basketball, and in turn, that benefits the Sixers this year? But then in 2024, a year from now, the Sixers would be equipped with a lot of money to spend in NBA free agency to improve the roster around Joel Embiid as well as Tyrese Maxey. Your 2024 unrestricted free agents for next year. Let's look ahead. Jaylen Brown, if he doesn't sign that extension with the Celtics. DeMar DeRozan is getting older but can still score it. Pascal Siakam, really good two-way player. Right now, the Indiana Pacers said to be interested in him via a trade. And then Klay Thompson. Last year played really well in the playoffs, did really struggle. How does he play as he gets older? 2024 restricted free agents. If these players opted out, you have to imagine Philadelphia might show interest in some of them. Now, you have the homegrown talent in Maxey. I think it's paramount that the Sixers bring him back. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, restricted free agents. LeBron James, Anthony Davis. That right there is the star power that lacked in the free agency crop this year. So obviously that would require them opting out of those player options, but good options nonetheless if the Sixers free up some money with James Harden and Toby leaving after this year if they do end up running it back. Now, do you want Harden to return? That's our first question for the audience here today. Just give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Let me know down below in that comment section. Coming up next on the show, Terquavion Smith. He has been hooping in Summer League action. Utah and now in Las Vegas. Want to break his game down a little bit. But first, this deal from Fanatics is awesome, and you can get your Sixers summer swag while saving some money and repping your team. And how do you do it? You enter that link down below. Chatsports.com/76ers combo. We're going to put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. Was $60, limited time only, on sale for just $33. Get it while it's hot. So Terk Smith has become a pretty legendary figure for Sixers fans here. And it's given us something to do during these slow summer months, right? NBA free agency has kind of died down a little bit. Personally, I'm a huge baseball fan, so I watch the Phillies any chance I get. But being able to watch some NBA Summer League action is really exciting because after Summer League, basketball really isn't relevant until the start of the season, which is in October. So we have that long lull, and now we can see what these young players can do. And for the Sixers, you always get excited by some of these young developmental pieces who display some potential, especially when the Sixers are a little bit cash-strapped right now, and they could use a cheap player like this, whether it be on a two-way deal, an NBA contract, to play in the preseason and maybe get some rotation minutes, but then down the road, they develop into one of those diamonds in the rough that you're able to find. And so far, Terk Smith has displayed that potential. These are his Las Vegas Summer League stats. His stats in the Utah Summer League we talked about last week, they were really impressive. He was playing very, very solid. That is translated to Las Vegas, bigger stage, better competition, more teams. 15.5 points per game, 39% from the field, not great. But on nearly 8 3-point attempts per night, he is converting on about 37.5% of those opportunities. Also keep in mind that the three-point shot longer than the college range three-pointer. His defensive ability also been on display. Some good anticipatory skills, averaging about 2 steals per game so far throughout 2 games in the Las Vegas Summer League. My scouting profile on Terk Smith, first of all, elite name and nickname. Terk Smith, long, wiry, and athletic. He's a very, very springy athlete who moves laterally, but also has that vertical leaping ability. He is not scared on the offensive end of the floor. He will literally let it fly from anywhere. Early in the shot clock, middle of the shot clock, end of the shot clock, end of quarter, end of game. My man lacks no fear, no confidence, and I love that he can rise up without any hesitations. He is a little bit slighter, so his lack of height and him being skinny is a little bit of a concern, but he does have NBA-level explosion with his ability to really be a vertical leaper, finish amongst the trees, in traffic, at the rim, and throw down some dunks. His defensive instincts have been pretty solid. He's been able to play some passing lanes, read where passes are going, and because of that, he's able to get a jump start, steal the rock, and then throw down and dunk in transition. And that passing vision is something that's pretty solid. Lastly, let me add this. At North Carolina State, he was so inconsistent, so spotty, so up and down with his offensive efficiency. During the summer league, though, he has displayed some of that consistency. For instance, against good teams, he'd go off for 20, 25 points, right? And then next game, he would go for like 5 for 15 from the floor. Needs to be a little bit more consistent so far in the summer league. He's been pretty solid, even though he shot sub 40% from the deck. But again, 37.5% from three-point range. I also want to give Jaden Springer a little bit of credit here because Jaden Springer has played some solid hoop throughout summer league. And I've never been too high on the prospect here. You know, the Sixers drafted him out of Tennessee. I had questions about the offensive game. What's weird about him, he's kind of a slow, methodical mover, but he does have good vertical leaping ability, but his lateral quickness is lacking sometimes, and that gives him some trouble with creating for himself on the offensive end when he's trying to get his shot. The game has slowed down for him a little bit, and because of that, the offensive game has had some moments of growth. Now, he didn't play last night on Monday in the second game in the Las Vegas Summer League. He did play the other night, though, against Utah. Last night, the Sixers blew a 17-point fourth quarter lead. 23 points, though, against the Jazz. 8 of 14 for the former first-round pick from a couple of years ago. 2 of 6 from 3, 5 of 8 from the free throw line. Why it's important that Turk Smith, Jaden Springer, we'll give a shout-out to Ricky Council, Philip Petrusev, are playing well throughout the Summer League action. The Sixers bench unit isn't great. They lost George Niang. They lost Shake Milton. You know, they brought back Montrezl Harrell in that weird deal. They brought in Patrick Beverley. They re-signed Paul Reed. They need some more depth scoring, wing and guard play, and that's where Turk Smith and Jaden Springer might fill in there. So positive developments on that front. Coming up later this week, going to do some Sixers Summer League winners and losers. Who's won throughout this offseason period, who has fallen flat on their face. Stay tuned for that. That's why you subscribe. And I'll ask you this, too, before we hop on out of here. Who impressed you the most during NBA Summer League? For me, Turk Smith, Ricky Council, Jaden Springer, even Philip Petrusev, as the game has kind of slowed down for him as well. I thought has had some positive signs as well. Sound off with what you think. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for year-round Sixers content.